Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about Nsaids. Nsaids are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So Nsaids are the class of the drugs that relieve pain, reduce inflammation. Inflammation means redness and swelling, and bring down high temperature, that is fever. Nsaids are the drug used to treat a wide range of conditions such as headache, painful period, toothache, strain infection such as common cold or the flu inflammation of joint such as arthritis and other tissues. NSAIDs work by blocking the productions of various chemicals which are present in the body, such as prostaglandin, chemical messengers that are often responsible for pain and swelling of inflammatory conditions. Before starting with NSAID, one must aware about what are narcotic analgesic and what are non-narcotic analgesic. Narcotic analgesic are that have CNS effect. That means they will affect the CNS, that is central nervous system, and non-narcotic analgesics, they do not affect the CNS, that is central nervous system. So non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, that is the NSAIDs, comes under non-narcotic. This is a flow chart or a pie chart which depicting the market shares of pain medications in 2019. Now, next is the mechanism action of NSAIDs. The prostaglandins are the medications of inflammation. Inflammatory response in the body is natural response that occur immediately after the tissue damage. Most of the NSAIDs are reversible inhibitor of cyclooxygenase, that is COX activity. Thus, they prevent the formations of prostaglandin and constantly reducing the sign and symptoms of inflammations. Prostaglandins are the family of chemicals that are produced by the cell of the body in response to illness or injury. They also promote the inflammation, pain, fever, and support the blood clotting function of the platelets and protect the lining of the stomach from the effect of the acid. Prostaglandins are saturated carboxylic acid. When we talk about the chemistry of the prostaglandin, they are the saturated carboxylic acid consisting of 20 carbon skeleton. They have a 20 carbon skeleton and also contain a 5-member ring. And this 20 carbon chain is attached with or fused with 5-member ring. They are biochemically synthesized from the fatty acids and arachidonic acid. The synthesis of the prostaglandins comes under the arachidonic pathway. So what is the basic difference between the traditional NSAIDs and the COX-2 inhibitors? So prostaglandins are made by two different enzymes, that is cyclooxygenase 1, that is COX-1, and cyclooxygenase 2, that is COX-2. The prostaglandin made by the two different enzymes have a slightly different effect in body. That means COX-1 and COX-2 have different effect in the body. The compounds which are selective COX-2 inhibitors are the NSAID that selectively block the particular enzyme named as COX-2 enzyme and not affect the COX-1 enzyme. That means the selective COX-2 inhibitors only block the enzyme which is a COX-2 and not COX-1. Blocking this enzyme prevent the production of the prostaglandin by the COX-2 enzyme. By blocking this enzyme, the ultimate aim is the inhibition of the production of prostaglandin. If the COX-2 enzyme is blocked, the production of the synthesis of the prostaglandin is also blocked, which is a often cause, which is the main responsible reason for causing swelling, pain, and inflammation in inflammatory or painful conditions. Because they selectively block the COX-2 enzyme and not COX-1 enzyme, these drugs are uniquely different from the traditional Nsaids, and that is why they are selective for particular enzyme. That's why they are different from Nsaids, because traditional Nsaids block both the enzyme COX-1 and COX-2. With traditional anti-inflammatory drugs such as aspirin, inflammation is reduced by blocking of COX-2, but the protective mucus lining of the stomach is also reduced. That means the traditional drugs which are used as an anti-inflammatory, examples such as aspirin, they block both the enzyme, they block, and in response they are helpful in as an anti-inflammation. But the disadvantage of this drug is the protective layer in the stomach is also reduced, and because of this reason a stomach get upset, the chances of ulceration and bleeding in the stomach and intestine is high. Therefore, the preferentially COX-2 inhibitors are mostly used nowadays. Drugs that selectively blocks COX-2 do not have this risk. That means they do not affect the lining of the mucus lining in the stomach, and they only helpful in protecting anti-inflammatory action. Now COX के different forms होते हैं जो है COX-1 and COX-2. Now if we look at the arachidonic acid pathway, prostaglandin, thromboxane 2 and prostaglandin PGI2, these are responsible for the GI cytoprotection, platelet aggregation, vasoconstriction, and renal function. When we talk about the COX-2 inhibitors, they are responsible for inflammation, fever, pain, and they are also responsible for renal function, vasodilation, inhibits platelet aggregation, GI mucosal integrity, and ulcer healing. Now next is the classification of the Nsaids, chemical classification and representative structures of analgesic, antipyretic, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Firstly, salicylate inhibitor. In salicylate derivatives. In salicylate derivatives, aspirin, sodium salicylates. These are the major drugs which are used. Here is the structure of the aspirin. It is a acetyl salicylic acid derivatives. Then next is the paracetamol derivatives. Para-aminophenol derivative. In this class, acetoaminophenol is come. Next is the indole and indene acetic derivative. In this class, Indomethacin and Indomethacin and sulidinac is come. Next is the anthranylic acid derivative. In this, mefenamic acid, mefloquinamic acid is come. Then next is the aryl propanoic acid. In this, ibuprofen, ketoprofen, oxaprofen. These are the drugs which comes in this class. Next is the heteroaryl acetic acid. In this, diclofenac, ketorolac, these are the drugs which comes in this class. Next is the enolic acid. In this, phenylbutazone and oxycam, piroxicam, these are the drugs which come under enolic acid derivatives. These are the structures of the different Nsaids. When we look at the ibuprofen, this is the derivatives of the acid. And if we look at the structure of every Nsaids, the common feature in the Nsaid is firstly there should be a acid group present, and if we look at, there are mostly a electron donating group are also present in most of the Nsaids. These are also the structures along with the IUPAC name. Say for example, aspirin have the IUPAC name 2-acetoxybenzoic acid. This is the acetoxy group. In the benzoic acid, if we look at this benzoic acid, at the second position, there is a 2-acetoxy group is present. Next is the, if we look at the indomethacin, in case of the indomethacin, acetic acid, this is the acetic acid which is there, and the indole group is present. This is the indole group which is present in the indomethacin. Next is the diclofenac. If we look at the diclofenac, there is dichlorophenyl amino group is present. This is the aminophenyl group. This is the dichloraminoophenyl group, and along with this, at the there is the acetic group. Acetic acid is attached. So this is the chemistry of some of the Nsaids. Similarly, if we talk about the salicylate derivatives are derived from the salicylic acid. So which forms the monohydroxybenzoic acid and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. They inhibit the synthesis of the prostaglandin, which co-inhibit करते हैं, and other mediator in the process of the inflammation, and have the anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, and analgesic effect. If we look at the structure of the different salicylate, that is a salicylate, acetyl salicylate, sodium thiosalicylate, salicylamide, the common features in all the drugs which contain the salicylic acid, they have the salicylate in their moiety. If we look at the salicylic acid, and there is the IUPAC name, that is IUPAC name of the salicylic acid is the 2-hydroxybenzoic acid. These are the different drugs that are salicylate derivatives and used as the Nsaids. Now, if we talk about the mechanism of action of the aspirin, aspirins are covalently and irreversibly modified, bind to the COX-1 and COX-2 by acetylating serine 550 in the active site. Acetylation of COX-1 create a steric block that prevent the binding of arachidonic acid at the cyclooxygenase active site. Because this acetylation occur in the COX-1, this create the steric block and prevent the binding of cyclooxygenase in the arachidonic acid pathway. Acetylation of the COX-2 retain the cyclooxygenase activity, although the reactions produce a novel product 15-RHETE. Now, next drug is the indomethacin. This is the structure of the indomethacin. It contains the indole group, and chlorobenzene group is also attached. If we talk about the chemistry of the indomethacin, it contains the different linkages. That is, first linkage is the para-chlorobenzoyl group at position 1. This moiety is called as para-chlorobenzoyl, and at second position methyl group is attached. If we look at the second position, the methyl group is attached, and at the third position carboxymethyl group is attached. At the third position carboxymethyl group is attached, and methoxy group is attached at the fifth position. So this is the indole ring in which different substitutions are occur. If we talk about the chemistry of the indomethacin. Next is the properties of the indomethacin. It occur as pale yellow to brownish yellow crystalline powder. It is odorless and has a bitter taste. It is very slightly soluble in water and sparingly soluble in alcohol. It shows polymorphism, means it have a different forms. When its alcoholic solution is treated with NaOH, means the alcoholic solution of indomethacin, when treated with the base, that is sodium hydroxide, it gives on standing deep blue color. That means deep blue color change, which changes to the greenish yellow and finally become pale yellow. So this is the chemical property of Indomethacin. Next, if we talk about the storage of the Indomethacin, it is stored in well-closed container and they should be light resistant because it is affected by the moisture and the light. Next is the usage. It is used for in the different. It is used for the treatment of the different disease such as rheumatoid arthritis. It is a painkiller, so it is used in rheumatoid arthritis. It is used to for the prevention of the pain, and it is also used in the osteoarthritis. It is also used in the spondylitis. It is also one of the major. It has also one of the major use in the acute pain of the gout. It is also used in the musculoskeletal disorders such as fibromatosis, neck pain. It is also used in the pain of the meningitis disease. These are the some of the dosage form. It comes in as a, capsules and suppositories and tablet. There are the some brand names of the Indomethacin. Next is the ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is the, if we talk about the chemistry of the ibuprofen, it is a propanoic acid derivative. This is the propanoic acid. And here at the benzene ring, one position is occupied by the propanoic acid and one position is occupied by the alkyl chain. And it is a derivatives of the isobutyl phenyl group present at the C2 position. At C2 position, isobutyl phenyl group is present. When we talk about the properties of the ibuprofen, it occurs as a white crystals or white crystalline powders. It have a characteristic odor, when we talk about the solubility of the ibuprofen, it is slightly soluble in water but freely soluble in alcohol. It is also soluble in aqueous solution of the alkali, means basic solutions it is easily solubilized. When we talk about the storage, it should be stored in a tightly closed container because it is affected by the moisture and the light. Uses, when we it have the same uses as of the Indomethacin. It is used in the arthritis, gout. It is also used for the prevention of the pain in different disease conditions such as neck pain, migraine. These are the different uses of the ibuprofen. When we talk about the different dosage form, it comes as the syrup and it comes as in the form of syrup and the tablet, and these are the some brand names of the ibuprofen. Thank you. I hope this video is very informational for you.